All right, everybody, it's time for another episode of All Right Bet right here on DWMOD. That's disagree with me or don't, because that's how it works. Now, listen, you know what you tuned into here. This is All Right Bet. This is our weekly show every Wednesday when we're handing out free NFL, NCAA picks. This is our little gambling show, right? This is the new age gambling show. Now, I'm explaining all this for all our new listeners over there at Cutting Loose. All right, Cutting Loose Entertainment, picking up the show. We're going to start broadcasting over there. This thing's going to kick off and launch big time in the new year. Until that launch starts, we'll be broadcasting the show. We'll be putting it up on our YouTube site. They'll be posting it on their YouTube site. You're going to see some cross-pollination there till this thing kicks off and goes live over there at Cutting Loose Entertainment in the new year. We're excited about that. So to all our new listeners over there jumping on us at Cutting Loose, listen, here's the deal. This is DWMOD. This is Disagree With Me or Don't. I'm your host, Mikey Wilson. My co-host, Andy St. Clair, is usually in the house. He's still out for Thanksgiving. He's having vacation with the family, having a good time doing that stuff. But every Wednesday, we're doing the free live gambling show. We're giving you all the bets and picks for this weekend, and we're going to get to that in a minute because we have been red hot. But we also have our regular show, regular DWMOD, and that's a sports and entertainment comedy show, right? We're going through the latest happenings in sports. We have segments like Quick Hits. We have segments like Knock It Off. It's a lot of fun. Tune in and check that out. We're having fun at the expense of sports a lot of the times. We'll have a guest on the show. The three of us will chop it up on that stuff. And during the football season, we will end that episode with what we call the Big Six Picks, where myself, Andy St. Clair, my co-host, and whoever the guest is for the week, we'll be making picks on the biggest six games of the year, and that is biggest six games of the week. 3 NCAA football games, 3 NFL football games. We'll be picking against the spread. We'll be picking the over-unders, and we keep a tally on that for the whole 17-week season of the NFL season, and we crown a champion at the end of the year, whoever's been doing the best on that. So you can tune in and check that out on Fridays. We'll be dropping that. But listen, you know what you're here for. You're here for the candy. You're here for the free picks. You're here for that free money, and we have been crushing it. So let's get busy on All Right Bet.
Wanna bet?
Cash money.
It's time for another episode of All Right Bet.
Wanna bet?
No! God, please, no! No!
Tease it. Tease it.
When I want a chicken dinner.
I'd buy that for $1.
All right, guys. Now listen up. If you guys have been tuning in and playing the last couple of weeks with us on All Right Bet, you know we have been red hot. The week before Thanksgiving, we were 70% on NFL games that we dropped the picks to you. We were over 70% on NCAA. We crushed it 2 weeks ago and cashed in a ton of parlay tickets. That's no joke. Go check the tape. Now, last week, it got even better. Last week, we handed you guys, I'm looking here, we handed you guys 40 picks in college football on Saturday. 40. That was a large week for us. We don't normally hand out that many picks, but that's how good we were feeling. We handed out 40 picks. 30 of those picks came in, guys. You had to have hit some parlays somewhere. You had to get right on one of those. I mean, 30 of 40. That's absolutely nuts. And every single week, we're also handing out our money line dogs, right? These are teams that are underdogs. We're betting them on the money line. We're not taking the spread. We're betting them on the money line to come in for big paydays. And on the year right now, on those money line dogs, guys, we are 29-20, almost 10 games above 500 on money line dogs. That's crazy. That's crazy. We're putting money right in your pocket every single week. All you got to do is tune in and listen. Now, normally I'll give you the rundown on like what we did well last week in the games we won on. So bear with me here because I'm just going to go rapid fire because it's too damn many. It's too damn many. But Louis, cue the music. But really quickly here before we cue the music, guys, we're working on that intro song. If you're new to the show, everybody coming in from Cutting Loose, and if you've been around with us for a while and All Right Bet, you know we've been through a few producers. We landed on a guy we love here, and Louie's been taking care of the show here now. But this intro song, we got to get this thing fixed. It's terrible, Louie. Listen, I know you're busy. You're busy doing a lot of stuff catching up. We're going to get a new one going here soon. But my God, that thing, tease it. It's hilarious, man. But anyway, let's cue the music, Louis. Let's just hit these winners from last week really fast. There we go. There's the music on The Price is Right. In the college football, we gave you Colorado covered on Okie State, Ohio covered on Ball State. We gave you both of those. We also gave you Tennessee to cover Vandy, South Carolina money line and cover over Clemson. Both of those hit. Illinois covers on Northwestern. Duke covers on Wake. We got Notre Dame covering on USC. SMU covered on Cal. Bama covered on Auburn. Arizona State covers on Arizona. Florida covers on FSU on a late score, but that don't matter. It covered. We know that much. We also had we already covered that. We already hit the Bama game there. Then we gave you a whole bunch of teasers. I'm going to get to those money line dogs in a second here. Then we had a whole bunch of teasers, man. I'm not even going to drop the scores on you. I'm just going to tell you. Let me just read them out so you know how ridiculously long this list is. Buffalo cover, Memphis cover, Boise State cover, Colorado cover, Ohio cover, Stanford cover. We had Iowa cover. We had ULL cover. We had Tennessee cover. We had South Carolina cover on the money line as well. We had Illinois cover. We had Duke cover. We had Notre Dame cover. We had SMU cover. We had Arizona State cover. We had Florida cover. We had Oregon cover. We had BYU cover. This is ridiculous. I'm not even on the NFL games yet. In the NFL, we had the Cowboys. We had the Packers. We had the Seahawks. We had Washington football team. We had the Rams. And then on the teasers, we also had Cowboys, Lions, Raiders, Falcons, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Rams. We almost hit that Raiders money line, guys. We had Raiders on the money line, and they lost on that crazy snap play. So you know how that was. So, guys, a ton of winners. Now, let's stop the music here for a minute, Louis. Let's stop the music here right now. Let me just double down on these money line dogs we gave you last week, NCAA football. Now, we're handing out sometimes 6, but every week at least 3, okay? This week we gave you 4. And we went 2 for 4 on the money line dogs, right? South Carolina beats Clemson outright. We had Syracuse beat Miami outright. But you know what, though? We can't take credit for the Syracuse one. We talked about it, but we didn't give it to you. The one we did give you, Memphis over Tulane. Laid that out for you. This was a game. Tulane didn't mean anything to Tulane. They weren't going to come in and get busy on this one. Memphis been good all year, lost a couple of squeakers they probably shouldn't have. Good football team. They're going to come in and beat Tulane, and they did. We told you that on the show, okay? We lost the other 2. Texas A&M lost a tough one to Texas. Close game there. They just couldn't get anything going offensively. But anyway, the point here is, guys, 29 and 20 on handing out money line dogs on the season. Now, if you guys are new to gambling, you don't quite understand what that is. We're taking teams that are like 3, 4, 5, 6-point underdogs, right? So on the money line, these teams are plus 250, plus 325, plus, meaning you're cashing in if you pick them to win. Most people will take the points, take the spread, which is pretty even money. You take these teams to win, you're making money. You parlay these teams together, you're making money. And I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, we went 3 for 3. The week before that, I think we went 5 for 6 or something on these money line dogs. You are making money, okay? Let me just tell you that. You're making a lot of money on those. So let's get to this week's picks. Now, guys, this week, big week for college football. Not a lot of games, okay? There's not a lot of opportunity here. But there is a lot of opportunity here. Let me tell you that. It's championship week. Now, there are 3 games I'm not going to give you here on All Right Bet. You got to tune into the Big 6 picks to get those games. All right, and this week's Big 6 picks games is going to be the Big 12 championship, which is Iowa State versus Arizona State. We're also going to give you the ACC championship game, which is Clemson against SMU. SMU in the ACC championship game. Oh, death penalty is over. Looks like SMU has returned to glory. And we're also going to give you the SEC championship game, which is the big rematch between the Georgia Bulldogs and the Texas Longhorns. Now, Georgia Bulldogs, they won that one pretty handily last time. But we're going to discuss those on the Big 6 picks on Friday. Tune in for that. Going to be a great show. Going to be a lot of fun. Going to have some laughs. Going to talk some sports for sure. Let's get to this week's championship games, guys. Okay. First game, let's jump on the Friday games. These games are going to be on Friday, okay? Now, the first one of the day is going to be the Conference USA Championship, which is going to feature Western Kentucky, and they're going to be taking on Jacksonville State. Now, these teams just played last week, guys. These teams just played last week, and Western Kentucky won 19-17 after Jacksonville State lost their quarterback in the third quarter. But this kid Huff, he's probably going to be the conference player of the year, and he got hurt, but they were holding him down before he got hurt and left the game. The backup came in and scored the touchdown that gave him the lead, and then Western Kentucky wins on a field goal as times expire in there in the fourth quarter. Good football game, close football game. Now, before we get to the spreads and giving you a pick, I'm going to tell you something Andy wanted me to let you guys know. Anytime teams play each other back to back like this, they just played last week and now they're playing again. A pretty good bet is to take the over. They know each other. They're game planning around each other. These are two teams that score points. And Andy is saying take the over the second time they play because they know each other. That's a good little tip. I like that one. Now, let's get to the line and the cover here. Western Kentucky is plus 3.5. They won the last game, but they are plus 3.5 right now to Jacksonville State, who's the favorite. The over-under here is 57.5. Now, the smart play here, guys, is to play this thing kind of both ways if you want to. Now, hear me out. What you want to do here is if you can get in on Jacksonville State at 2.5, I got in at Jacksonville State at 2.5 earlier in the week. All right, you just buy that point. Buy that point, get it under a field goal. Should be a close game. Take Jacksonville State. But if you want to hit for a little bit more money here, guys, you could take Western Kentucky and the hook. They're giving you the 3.5 here. Now, for me personally, I think it's tough to beat a team twice in a row. Huff is going to be a game time decision for Jacksonville State. If he plays, I'm looking at Jacksonville State to take this thing for sure. You might want to wait to game time, see what's going to happen with that line, see what's going to happen if he's going to play. But in this game, I'm going to be on Jacksonville State laying the 2.5. This thing at 3.5, I'll probably be on Western Kentucky. This would be a stay away game for me, but I got on early in the week at minus 2.5. I'll be on Jacksonville State to not get beat twice in a row. That is tough for a team to beat somebody twice in a row. I'll be on Jacksonville State here, and I'm going to go against Andy here. I'm going to play the under. This was a pretty defensive game the first time around, and I'll be expecting more of the same. I'll be playing the under in this one. Now, let's jump to that Mountain West Championship. This is a big game, guys, for college football. This is Boise State against UNLV. Now, I know some of you guys that are casual college football fans, or even if you follow pretty regularly, but you're not a diehard, you're thinking UNLV. I mean, UNLV's plus 4 right now in this game. The first time they played each other earlier in the season, it was a 29-24 come from behind Boise State victory. These teams played each other tough, okay? Now, I'm telling you right now, if it wasn't for a couple of bounces this way or that, UNLV would be the team crashing the 12-team playoff this year. They would be. They've got 2 losses. They lost to Syracuse in overtime up in Syracuse. And we all know now from watching the season play out that Cal McCord and Syracuse, that's a good football team. They just knocked off Miami this last week. They've got some big wins. That's a tough loss in overtime to a Syracuse team on the road. And they lost this barn burner to Boise State, who is the favorite for the playoff out of the group of 5 schools. So, I mean, you get one bounce either way in this thing. And if they just pull out that Syracuse game, they could be playing Boise State to see if they go to the playoff right now. And they still might get in if they win this game. UNLV is no joke, guys. Now, Boise State knows what they need to do to handle this football game. They have to win. Their playoff hopes are on the line. But the first time around, UNLV held Genty to 120 yards and 1 touchdown. I like UNLV in this one, guys. The number is just too high. The number is too high. It's at plus 4 right now. I'm going to expect some more Boise State money to come in on this thing probably, but I'm going to be in on UNLV at plus 4 right now. Come closer to game time. If this thing gets to 5.5, and I can buy the 1.5 and get UNLV plus 7, I'm all over this thing. I'm going to take UNLV. I'm going to take UNLV on the money line. They're going to be one of my money line dogs this week to pull off the upset because it's possible. Not because I'm guaranteeing they're going to knock off Boise State. It's beyond possible. This is a good football team, but I will tell you we're going to play the over in this one. This thing's going over 58.5. They hit over 60 last time these two teams played. 2 offensive teams that just want to punch it out. I'm going to take the over in this game. Now let's move to the American Conference. Also, Andy is also in on the Running Rebs at plus 4. No doubt about it. Now, let's jump to the American Football Championship. That is going to be Tulane laying 5 to Army. Now, Army's 10-1. There's really no talk of them getting into the playoff, even if they win this game and Boise State loses, which I think is a little bit crazy. I mean, you talk about their strength of schedule if you want, but man, if one of these military academies finishes 11-1 on the season and is a conference champ, and you're telling me they're not going to be the highest ranked conference champ if Boise State loses? I just don't understand that. I don't understand that. They should be in the playoff if they win this game and Boise State loses. But we'll see. We'll see what the committee does. That's not what I'm talking about here. We're talking about gambling. Now, Tulane -5. I think this thing today has gotten up to 5.5. So you could buy the point and a half you could buy the point and a half here, guys, and get Army +7. I'll take Army +7 if you can get it up to that. I'll take Army +7 if you can get it up to that. This thing hovers around 4. I will buy it down to 2.5, which is what I've done on plenty of parlays I'm playing this week. Early in the week, got in at Tulane -2.5. They just need to cover by a field goal. That's where you want to try to get this thing at. So if this thing dips back down to 4, you can get in at 2.5. You can get in on Tulane. But if this thing stays around 5, 6, moves up to 5.5 here by game time, get in on Army +7, plus the 5.5 if you want. But I just take it to +7. Let's take Army on that one. Now, I will say I'm playing the under in this game. That's just how Army plays. And if it's going to be a close competitive game, it's because they're grounding and pounding. I'm going to take the under 45.5 in this game, guys. That's just how we're going to do it. Now, Tulane is also a team, just so you're aware. Tulane's a team that they were really, really on the verge of crashing the playoff until they dumped that game to Memphis last week, which we called would happen. But had they just beat Memphis last week and then beat Army, they were in the mix here if Boise State loses, because their only 2 losses would have been to Oklahoma and Kansas State. It's 2 pretty good losses for a group of 5 school, but they choked it out last week to Memphis. Now they're out of it. They've got no shot. Even if they win this game, they got no shot of being in the playoff because UNLV could jump them. That's a whole nother discussion, but that's how we're going to play the American Championship game, guys. Now, let's get to one of my favorite games every year, the MAC Championship. Now, my Central Michigan Chippewas are not in it. All right. And Coach McElwain's riding off into the sunset, guys. He's riding off into the sunset and retiring, but we will be back. Fire up chips. But this championship game is going to feature the Ohio Bobcats against the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. That's how we're going to do this one, guys. Now, the line here is tough. It's 2.5, and it is not moving. It is not moving. It is Ohio +2.5. Miami of Ohio is going to be the host team here. The over-under on this one's going to be 44.5. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm going to be on the over. Going to be on the over in this game. Both these teams have been scoring points down the stretch since they met 6 weeks ago. Now, I think it was about six weeks ago. Miami of Ohio beat Ohio 30-20. Okay. But after that game for Ohio, here's their next 5 games. They beat Buffalo, who was in it, had a shot at getting into the MAC championship game in the last week of the season. And Ohio beat them 47-16. Then they rolled Kent State, who's the worst team in the MAC, 41-0. Then they went and played a tough competitive Eastern team on the road, beat them 35-10. Then they went to Toledo, all hopes for playoffs on the line against the Toledo Rockets, who are a staple of the MAC championship game. Rocked them 24-7 in the Glass Bowl down in Toledo. And then last week, they beat up on Ball State 42-21. This is an Ohio team that is rolling right now. Navarro is a dual threat quarterback. He's playing better than he has all year long. They're looking to win this thing for the first time since 1969, I think was the last time they were MAC champs or something like that, I believe. Now, Miami of Ohio, good football team. Their last 5 games, I could lay you their scores out too. They've been pounding people. And last week it was win to get in or die against Bowling Green, who could have got in with a win. And they pounded Bowling Green. So this is going to be a good football game. But guys, I'm going to roll with Ohio. I'm going to roll with them. I've been rolling with them week after week, making money on them. I like the way this team's playing. They're gritty. They're fired up. I'm going to take the Bobcats plus the 2.5. And you know what I'm going to say on that, guys? Buy the point. Get the Bobcats at plus 3.5. Put them in with your parlays at field goal and a hook. And I'm going to take the Ohio Bobcats in this one and the over. All right, let's jump to the Sun Belt Championship game. Sun Belt Championship game is going to feature the University of Louisiana Lafayette, who I just got to see this last weekend play against my son, and the University of Louisiana Monroe. Warhawks went down in that one, but it was a touchdown game up until the last minute and a half of the game. And on a big 4th and 1, ULL goes for it. We pack the line of scrimmage, and the Raging Cajuns bust through the line. Nobody's in the secondary, and the guy scores a long touchdown to make the separation more than 2 scores. But that was a touchdown game late in the 4th quarter. Louisiana Lafayette, good. Lost their starting quarterback a couple of weeks ago in their only loss in conference to South Alabama. went down with a collarbone. So they've been on their backup quarterback, but he's a COVID guy. He's been around college football for like 8 or 9 years now. So he's more than capable of playing well in this game. I also had the opportunity to see Marshall live play against University of Louisiana Monroe. Went up to that game to watch my son, and we lost that game by 6, I think. Marshall is good. Marshall's a good football team, guys. They are a good football team. And I'm telling you, this spread right now is at 5.5. If I want to buy the 1.5, you're going to give me Marshall at 7. I'm taking Marshall at 5.5. I'm taking Marshall at 7. I'm taking Marshall on the money line. Listen, ULL could have a case of their own for crashing the playoff had they not dumped that game to South Alabama. I think their only loss of the year might have been to Tulane, who could wind up being a conference champion here. They'd have one loss. If Boise lost, could go down that rabbit hole. Real good football team. But Marshall has been underrated all year long and just been beating teams. This spread is just too big. We're playing the number here, guys. We're going to be on Marshall, and we're going to take this thing on the under. They've got this thing at 56.5. I've seen both these teams play. I just don't think so. I think this thing comes under 56.5. Give me Marshall. They'll be one of my money line dogs for the week. Then that takes us to our final game. We're going to talk about college football, the Big Ten Championship. The Big Ten Championship, we're going to be quick on this one, guys. It's Oregon laying 3.5 to Penn State. The over-under here, 49.5. We are going to be on the under here. We're going to be on the under. Expect this thing to be under 49.5. Let's just shorten it up. I don't need to get long-winded. You know how Penn State wants to play, but we know what Oregon State can do. Listen, we're going to be on Oregon. Oregon State. We're going to be on Oregon minus the 3.5. The Ducks minus the 3.5. Ducks should roll in this one. They should beat Penn State by at least 10, maybe 13 points if they're playing almost as good as they can. Penn State, I think, a little overrated. Schedule a little bit soft. The only really big powerhouse team they played this year, Ohio State, and Ohio State handled them. We're going to take Oregon, and we're going to have them all over the board because it's at minus 3.5. So what am I going to tell you guys? If you're playing a parlay and you got a couple of teams on there, buy the point. Knock this thing down to minus 2.5. Then Oregon's only got to win by a field goal, okay? Don't be greedy. This is what I'm telling you constantly on All Right Bet here, and you can disagree with me or don't if you want to, but if you disagree with me, you're a fool. If you're playing, I like to keep the parlays to 2 and 3 teams, but yeah, even I every week, I'll play a couple 4 or 5 teamers. If you're playing a bigger parlay, don't get greedy looking at how much you can win if they cover the 3.5. Knock that thing down to 2.5 and win a little less money, because winning a little less money is better than not winning any money at all. And if Penn State wins this thing, it's going to be by a field goal. So if you're thinking of teasing this thing, you're going to cross the line there, but we'll get to that later. Give me Oregon State minus the 3.5. I'll buy that thing down to 2.5 on my bigger parlays, and we'll roll on that. The 3 money line dogs for college football this week. We're going to take the Ohio Bobcats. I already told you we're going to take Ohio to upset Miami. We're going to take Marshall to upset Louisiana Raging Cajuns of Lafayette. And we're going to take UNLV to knock off Boise State. We're going to take UNLV on the money line there, guys. There's just value there. Now, listen, I don't like seeing you guys all coming at me on the social media sites, which we're up everywhere. DWMOD pod. You can follow us, get us there, get at us there. I don't like when you guys come at me like, oh, you said UNLV was going to beat Boise State. No, I said on a gambling show, we're playing the value there because it's possible. So when Boise State wins this thing by 3 at the end of the game, I don't want you coming at me going, you don't know what you're talking about. No, that means I knew exactly what I was talking about. This game was right there with a chance to cash in on some good value. So I'll be playing some parlays with Ohio, Marshall, UNLV, and possibly Georgia as an underdog to win, man. You play 3-team parlay like that with $5. If I put $5 on Ohio, Marshall, UNLV money line to win, I think you'll pay like $100 on $5. That's worth it. And these teams have a shot to do that. So go ahead and do that. I'll run through the teasers real quick. I think this is an excellent, excellent week for teasers in college football, guys. You can put together a good 7-teamer here, drop 7 points on the teaser, and I think $5 will get you like $70 or something like that. So pay attention to that because you can get in on Western Kentucky plus 10.5. These teams played to a 2-point game just a week ago. All right. And the quarterback might be out for Jacksonville State. If not, he's playing wounded. And you're going to give me the underdog plus 10.5. That's the hook on 10 points. Yeah, give me that. Western Kentucky plus 10.5. You're going to give me UNLV plus 11. I already told you how close a game that should be. You're going to give me 11 points. I'm going to take it. You're going to give me Army plus 13 in a game that's going to be grinding, clock running. These games, they don't really scream blowout. You beat a team like Army if you're not Notre Dame. If you're in this conference and you beat Army, you're not beating them by 10, 13 points. Give me Army plus 13 on the teaser. Give me Ohio Bobcats plus 10 against Miami of Ohio. I expect that game to be very competitive. If you're not comfortable with that one, you want to leave that out of your parlay, that's fine. But those first three you should have on there. You want to leave Ohio plus 10 out, that's fine. Marshall plus 13.5, that's a gimme. You got, if you can get that thing to 14 come game time, if that thing goes up another half point, you're going to get Marshall plus 14 against University of Louisiana Lafayette. Yes, guys, that's not going to be a 2-touchdown game. Promise you that. Promise you that. I know the Sun Belt. Oregon. Now you're going to cross the line with Oregon. Okay. You're going to cross the line with Oregon. Now, normally you don't want to cross the line. If you're doing a teaser, you're going to say, well, why not just put the 7 points on Penn State, take Penn State plus 10.5. Here's why in this case. This is a rare instance where you don't want to do that. Because if Oregon gets going like they can, and Penn State's not as good as we think they are, which a lot of people don't think they are, Oregon easily has the ability to win this game by more than 10 points. You could burn your whole teaser by trying to take Penn State plus 10.5 because Oregon could easily win by more than 10. But like I already pointed out, if Penn State is going to win this game, it is going to be by a field goal. They are not going to beat Oregon by 10, by 7. It's going to be a close game and a last-second field goal or something like that. So just take Oregon and cross the line. Take the 7 points, and now you're sitting Oregon plus 3.5, meaning Penn State's got to beat them by a touchdown for you to lose that bet, right? So we'll cross the line there and take Oregon plus 3.5. We're going to do the exact same thing with SMU, and here's why. Because if you cross the line with SMU against Clemson, you're going to get SMU plus 4.5. And that's where we want to be in that one, because Clemson has shown this year that they're not great. They backdoored their way into this ACC championship game because of a bad loss by Miami. And listen, SMU has the ability to score points, and these are teams that have given Clemson a problem this year. Now, Clemson, I will say this, Clemson, pretty fun maybe to put a little money line bet on them this weekend just because Dabo's Dabo. But if I'm taking this game, I'm not putting the 7 points on Clemson because SMU could easily beat them by 10 or more. I'll cross the line there. If you disagree, don't play it. That's fine. You can just leave this game, leave this one game out of your parlay, right? That's all you got to do. If you don't like that game, leave it out. I'm giving you some other good ones that are locks. Arizona State plus 5. We're going to take that one all day. Iowa State doesn't beat anybody by a touchdown, by 10, but it's always a knockout, drag-out game with them if it's going to be, but Arizona State's been rocking people by 30 points, man. We're going to be all over Arizona State crossing the line there. Give me Arizona State plus 5. You get that thing up to plus 6 by game time, just do it that way. Don't bother throwing them points on Iowa State. I'm not going to. All right, and you got to give me Georgia on this teaser. You got to give me Georgia plus 10. Georgia plus 10 against a Texas team they already rolled earlier in the year and proved that they're way more physical than up front. Yeah, go ahead and give me Georgia plus 10. There's all your teams in the championship game. I've got multiple parlays out on this stuff, especially on those teasers. Mix and match those teasers. Play like 7 teams and put $5 on it. It comes in at $70 on a 7-point teaser. Why not? Why not? Spend $20, make 4 different 7-team teasers out of those college teasers. And, at the end of the day, if you hit one, you hit for $50. You hit for 70, you drop your 20 that you put on it, you hit for $50, man. Like, that's how you just nice and easy chip away smart gambling. All right, let's jump to the NFL. Let's jump to the NFL this week, and let's see any tips that Andy gave us for the NFL this week. And we'll start right with the one he's giving you, and it's going to be the Panthers. If this thing gets up to 13.5, right, you got the Panthers. If this thing gets up to 13.5 before game time against the Eagles, just take the Panthers into points. I know that may sound crazy to some of your casual fans, but Bryce has been playing well in Carolina the last couple of weeks. They've had a chance to win the last 2 weeks in a row, and they almost beat the dang Chiefs, right? So listen, Carolina's been scoring some points. 13.5 is going to be too many. Dare this thing get to 14, you should be all over it. But the big gambling tip from Andy is going to be to take the first half under in the Eagles-Panthers game, because the Eagles are going to come out on defense and try to stifle Bryce. He's going to have to figure himself out. You don't really get rolling until at the second half, and the Eagles don't really get rolling until the second half in every game. Every game, they're pounding, they're grinding, they're trying to wear you down, and then Saquon explodes in the second half because you're tired. So pretty good little bet there. It's first half under Eagles, Carolina. Now, Thursday night, we got a game tonight. Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions. This thing is at 3.5. Now, you can tell by my gear and my backdrop. Diehard Lions fan here. Detroit born and raised. This is our team. This is our chance. That being said, if you watched that game last week against the Bears, we are depleted. The whole defensive line is out. We have the best cover linebacker in the NFL is out. We have the best pass rusher in the NFL. He's out. All the backups are, I think we lost 6 or 7 guys last week, 5 of them being defensive linemen. Do you know how many defensive linemen you carry on a 53-man roster? To be down 6 of them, that's pretty much every one of them. I mean, listen, if you watched that game against the Bears last week, you saw the punt return team was playing defense in the whole fourth quarter. I mean, they did a great job. Punt return team, tip of the cap. You did a good job doing the best you could coming off the bench to stop the Bears offense and win that game. Little help from Eberflus, who got himself fired. But that being said, injuries are mounting up for the Lions. Do I like the Lions to win this game? Yeah, because we're all about grit and punching you in the mouth. That's what's going to happen. But they got the hook on this thing. I got to tell you guys, from a gambling aspect, the way the Green Bay Packers have been playing, you'd be silly not to take the Packers plus 3.5 here. This game is screaming a 3-point game. It's screaming a lot of points. I like the over at 51.5. Our defense is down and our offense can score. Packers got some defensive issues themselves with injuries. Take this over on this game at 51.5 for sure. But guys, be smart. If they're going to give you the hook at 3.5, be on the Packers plus the 3.5. It's going to be a field goal game. It's going to be a field goal game. And I'll leave it at that. Let's jump to the next game I like is Pittsburgh minus 6.5. They got the Browns coming to town. Now, the over-under here is 44.5, and here's the trick with Vegas on this one, and it's going to be on the over-under, okay? The over-under is at 44.5 because normally this is a game. It's an AFC North game. It's going to be defensive. You saw what happened the last time we thought that this season. We thought that Pittsburgh and Baltimore game was going to be the same type of AFC North, 17-13, maybe 20-13 type of game. It's not. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Russell Wilson are cooking. They are scoring points now. And if you've been watching the Browns since Jameis Winston took over, yes, he will score points for the other team. I'm not talking about the Browns winning. I'm talking about hitting this over-under here. Last week, Jameis went for 503 touchdowns and threw 2 to the other team as well, which is great for you if you're playing the over-under. Look, you just need Jameis to get down there and score 4 scoring drives, let's say 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals, maybe even only 3 scoring drives, and then throw himself another pick 6, and the Steelers just be the Steelers, and you're going to hit the over of 44.5. I'll be playing the over here for sure, and give me Pittsburgh laying the 6.5. I like Pittsburgh by a touchdown in this one. I know it's dangerous. It's against our rule. You don't bet Tomlin as a favorite. The money should be on the Browns here. Take the Browns by the point, get 7.5. I'll live with you if you want to do that. But I'll be on Pittsburgh minus the 6.5 to see what happens. But my main bet will be the over of 44.5 here. Now, Tampa Bay laying 6.5 to Vegas. Tampa Bay knows what they need to do the rest of the year, guys. They need to basically win out to try to steal the division from the Falcons, who are falling apart, and they absolutely could. They get the big overtime win, big overtime win last week against Carolina, who I just told you is also playing well. Tampa Bay getting some guys back, getting healthy. Evans back, having a great game last week. I'm like Tampa Bay to lay the 6.5 here to Vegas. I'm going to lay the 6.5 here to Vegas all day long. Give me Tampa Bay. Baker's playing well. They know they got to win, and the Raiders are a bad team. We're not going to get into Seahawks Arizona. That's going to be on the Big Six pick, guys. We're going to give you Seahawks and Arizona on the Big Six picks. We're also going to give you the Bills and the Rams on the Big Six picks on Friday, and we're going to give you the Bolts, which, that means it's the Los Angeles Chargers. I always want to say San Diego Chargers. Los Angeles Chargers. We're just calling them the Bolts. It's going to be Bolts KC on the Big Six picks there. So we'll leave those games alone, and let's jump to the Bears at the 49ers. Guys, we got to be on the Bears here, right? 49ers are reeling. McCaffrey is out for the season now. Purdy is still banged up. I don't know if Trent's going to be playing at left tackle. The defense is banged up. Bosa's banged up. Ayuk's out for the year. This 49ers team is in bad shape. And this Bears team, they finally got what they feel the noose around their neck off. Eberflus is gone. Anytime you have the coaching change, you're going to get that shot of adrenaline in the arm. This offense is playing a little bit better. I'm going to be on Bears plus 4.5. Okay, for sure. Be on Bears plus 4.5. I'm going to be on Bears money line to beat the 49ers, and I'll take the over in this thing at 43.5. I'm going to be on the over here for sure. And the last game of the week I'm going to play for you guys is the Bengals Cowboys. Now, listen, you're looking at this thing and you're thinking these are two bad teams. And I'm going to say you're right. Dallas, bad defensively, giving up a lot of points, and offensively, bad. Look, fire up Chips, Central Michigan, Chippewas, Cooper Rush, doing a good job trying to fill in for Dak. But this offense was bad when Dak was in there. They don't know what the hell's going on. This is a bad football team. On the other side of the football, the Bengals are bad defensively. They're bad defensively. But I just saw a list the other day that was like a list of quarterbacks that through the first 12 weeks have had more than 30 touchdowns and only threw 5 interceptions and their records. And it was like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and all these guys and Patrick Mahomes had all done this. And at that time, their teams were like 11-1 or 12-0 or 10-2. Joe Burrow would be in the MVP discussion right now had the Bengals been able to win some games. He's got like 34 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. They're scoring 30 points a game, and they've only won 5 games. So this offense is capable of blowing Dallas out. We know that. And the defense just needs to hold on against a bad Cowboys offense. This just makes sense to me that this is going to be a big win for the Bengals. This is the bad offense they needed to face so that their defense can get right. Give me the Bengals laying the 5 to the Cowboys. I love it. Give me the over in this thing because both these defenses suck. Give me the over at 49.5, and we'll probably play that on a teaser as well. This is going to be a big teaser week for over-unders on the show. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Let's hit some quick teasers, and then we'll get out of here so you guys can place your bets for the weekend. On the teasers here, hey, give me Green Bay plus 10.5 against Detroit, right? This is not going to be a 10.5 point win by the Lions here this week. It's going to be a gutty victory because that's who we are. But this thing you can tease down to 44.5 and take the over. Do that. We're going over 44.5 in this game. Tease that thing down. Give me the New York Football Giants plus 12 at home to the Saints. Why should the Saints be a 5-point favorite on anybody, let alone a 12-point favorite? I know the Giants have cashed it in, but they went to Drew Lock last weekend. They're trying to say, okay, that was a bad move. We're not going to play the third string quarterback. We tipped our hand a little bit. They're playing Drew Lock. They're playing a little bit better. Saints suck. I don't need to beat this to death. They shouldn't be a 12-point favorite on anybody. Give me the New York Football Giants plus 12 at home to the Saints. Give me Pittsburgh and a pick 'em. I mean, you tease that thing down to even, and you're just picking Pittsburgh to just beat the Browns. Give me that. Falcons plus 12.5. This is a tough one. They're at Minnesota. Kirk Cousins has been abysmal. He might be toast. He might be cooked. His career could probably be over. The Falcons are looking bad. You might see Michael Penix this week if Kirk plays the way he's played before. But that being said, little motivation, going up there to take on his old team, plus 12.5. Vikings haven't been blowing anybody out in the last bunch of games. I'll take the Falcons at plus 12.5 and hold my breath. But here's the better bet here. In this game, absolutely tease this thing to 52.5 for the under. This thing is going to be under 52.5. I'm just telling you that right now. Falcons defense playing well. They held the Chargers last week to 10 offensive points. Their defense is playing pretty good. And if the Falcons offense is as bad as it's been, this thing will be under 52.5. We're going to tease Tampa Bay down to even against the Raiders. That's a pick 'em against the Raiders. We will take that. Guys, if we're not looking all over the place here at these even teasers, right? I mean, that's staring us right in the face. Andy pointed that out to me. Wanted to let you guys know. That's staring us right in the face to play like a teaser here of the Buccaneers even, Pittsburgh even, and then getting like, I don't know, get another team down even, maybe Dolphins even with the Jets or you know, listen, you put those on your teasers right there. Those teasers are staring you right in the face to be on even right there. So we're just going to do that. Now, this is not tipping my hand on the big 6 picks, but let's take the Seahawks plus the 9.5 at Arizona. If we can get this thing to 10, yeah, give me the Seahawks plus 10, but more so, Seattle, Arizona game. You can get the over at 37.5. Tease that thing down 7 points. Over 37.5. Yes, I like that. Give me the Bears plus 11.5 out at San Francisco. Yes, all day, please. Bears more than 10. Yes, I'll take that. Give me the Eagles -5, right? Eagles -5 to the Panthers. I'll take that, but more so. Give me that Eagles Carolina game and tease the over to 38.5. This game's going to go over 38.5. I'll take that as well. I already told you about the Cowboys and the Bengals. That's going to be an offensive juggernaut. If I'm taking the over at 49.5, I'm going to play the over on a teaser at 42.5. I'll tell you that much right now. Okay. And then give me the Bengals and a pick 'em. There you go. There's your 3-team pick 'em right there, right? 3-team teaser pick 'em. Tease the Bengals down. It's basically a pick 'em. You're going to tease Pittsburgh down. It's basically a pick 'em. And you're going to tease Tampa Bay down. It's basically a pick 'em. You just need those 3 teams to win. You just need those 3 teams to win, right? That's it. So let's say, and this is something Andy pointed out. Andy pointed out here, guys. Let's play a little 4-teamer here. Play a little 4-teamer action here, right? So take tonight's game and tease it either way you want. Give yourself Green Bay with the 10 or cross the line with the Lions, which I'm saying, look, you want to just give yourself Green Bay with the 10.5 points. It seems like a pretty good thing. If you survive that game and then you put it with Pittsburgh and even pick them against the Browns, right? You're going to get Tampa Bay even, basically pick them against the Raiders, and then you're going to get the Bengals on a pick them against the Cowboys. You just need to survive tonight, and then those other 3, those should come in. You got a 4-team teaser right there. You're going to hit, right? You're going to nail it. And also, give me the Chargers plus 10.5 at Kansas City, and give me the under 49.5 in that game. Okay, look through it. We talk about it every week. You're playing Kansas City in the under every single week because it hits. Kansas City does not blow anybody out. They're not beating anybody by 10 points or more. And they sure as hell ain't beating the Bolts by 10.5. I'll tell you that right now. So give me the Bolts plus 10.5 on that. Here's my money line picks for the week in the NFL. I'll be on the Bears. I'll be on the Bolts. I'll be on the Giants. And I'll be on the Seahawks. Money line. Play those 4 teams right there on a money line, $5. It's going to come in over $100 for you. And that's 4 games right there that are very possible. Very possible. So you play that for $5 because that's where the value's at. All right, guys. And that's a lot to digest, but that's a great thing about podcasts here, right? Is that you can stop it, pause it, slow it down, turn it back, get your little pencil and paper out, mark it down. Okay, I like this game. I like that one. I didn't like this one. And there's get yourself your little play chart like the coaches have on the sideline at the end of the game, right? Get yourself your little spreadsheet to look at, and then you sit down and make smart bets. Don't be this guy that just jumps on your phone and is scrolling through the odds and going, oh, like that one. Oh, I like that one. Oh, I like that one. And before you know it, you've got 6 teams on a parlay that don't even have a chance. Put yourself the spreadsheet together, man. And then just look, hey, let me put this with that, with this. That's it. And then you rein yourself in. Those 3 teams, bet it. These 3 teams, bet it. Maybe I like these 5. Okay, put $5 on that. But keep it at 2, 3. Let's put these things together the way that they fit to try to win some money. And if you guys have been watching All Right Bet, you know you've been making money. You know you've been making money, guys. All right, that's the show for this week. Hey, get at us. Let us know how much money you made. We love that. We love when you guys give us the feedback, man. We're like, holy hell. You guys, thank you for the money. You've been hot this week. Now, don't forget, get on over to Cut and Loose. Check out the rest of the podcast. They got posted and stuff here heading into the launch of the network in the new year, but they've got some stuff up on the YouTube channel. That's Cutting Loose with the K. They've got pretty good fun. It's all stand-up comedians from around the Atlanta area and visiting stand-up comedians all doing this thing. They've got a great little show over there too, where guys are just having fun and chopping it up. We're adding this show to the mix. We're going to start cross-pollinating, getting some of those guys onto this show. I'm probably going to go over beyond that show. We're going to do all kind of stuff like this. Excited about where this thing is heading into the new year. Check it out over there. And as always, guys, gamble responsibly. Have yourself a brass monkey with the official beer choice of the DWMOD podcast. That's Old English 800. Get yourself ready for the games this weekend and make some dough.
Wanna bet?
Cash money.
It's time for another episode of All Right Bet.
Wanna bet?
No! God, please, no! No!
Tease it. Tease it.
When I want a chicken dinner.
I'd buy that for $1.
What? Where? I understand. I'll buy that for $1. Being from Detroit, I know that's RoboCop. I know it's RoboCop. I love that. Is Andy right? Is that tease it? Is that from some kind of porno or something, man? It just sounds very. It sounds very, very weird, man. It sounds very weird. We got to get that fixed.